All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Nerds Who
It's a
Drink.
drink.
I'm Steve.
I'm Mark.
And guys, this week we have a couple different topics that we wanted to talk about. Some of the fresh stuff from Marvel. Mark's been diving into some video games recently, which is awesome. That's something we haven't really done a ton on this channel, but before we get too far into this, and without further ado, we're going to do well, not our normal thing. We're not cracking anything this week. This week we are being visited by Liquid Alchemy, which is a meadery and a cider house down in Delaware. So if you're from the Wilmington, Delaware, or the tri-state area, give them a ton of love. They're awesome people, huge nerds, and we'll eventually have them on here on the show one day. So for this, I just have a corksicle because, yes, I'm going to love bomb you until you acknowledge us. So this week I chose Stitch, but we are drinking some awesome cider from there. And Mark, give it a taste. See what you think. Ooh, that's actually really good. I think it's phenomenal. It's called Uncle
really
Bucky's Pineapple Hibiscus Cider. So it was like a small batch that they had. Was there the other night for a cocktail class, and it was awesome. So just like a fun atmosphere. They have some amazing people there. All the guests were awesome. It was just a fun time. So if you guys get a chance to check them out, Liquid Alchemy Brewing, or Liquid Alchemy, yeah, down in Delaware. So, all right. And now let's jump into the nerdy stuff now that we've tackled the alcohol side of things. So I know, Mark, you wanted to talk about a couple games or some games that you've been playing.
Yeah, so I've been gaming for a while now, obviously Team PlayStation all day, every day. Recently I've beaten them, but recently I just finished Spider-Man 2 and Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Honestly, Spider-Man 2 was a phenomenal game. I know you've played Miles Morales. I know you started playing the second one. I don't know how far you've gotten into it, but
Yeah, not too far, but I agree with you. It's a well-made game. It's fun.
it's honestly basically the Arkham games, but you're Spider-Man now and have
Yeah.
cooler tricks that you can do.
Yes. The
So,
dynamic of like the swing versus, like the PS2 games or any of the other games that we've had growing up.
I was gonna say the traversal in
Oh,
it is so good now, like compared to the older
yes.
Spider-Man games that were out and stuff. Like
Oh yeah,
traversing
and
in Spider-Man, like you said, the swinging mechanics, I believe they use like actual like physics equations to like calculate like how he would actually swing and stuff.
which is how they should do it, obviously. And again, I'm not knocking anything from like the prior gens. It's just now that we have the technology and the science and stuff behind it, like now's the
Use
time to
it.
do it. I think a big thing for me that I loved about the game is they incorporated the flight suit from the
I love
newer
it.
MCU Spider-Man into it. Like Tom Holland's, boom, arms go up, wings are out, we're flying. And we're gonna quote Buzz Lightyear here. We're just, or I guess Woody. We're following the style. So quote Toy Story real quick, like that is what you are. You were just like gliding through the city, and I think that's such a cool concept. You can catch on to like the wind gusts and fly further and faster, and like that's just a fun concept for me because rather than fast traveling, that's how I get around in this game.
Yeah, and especially because like I know the biggest issue that people had with Arkham Knight was it was too much using the tank. So the
Yeah,
fact that in Spider-Man it's just like a huge open world, pretty much the entire New York City. I always love that they put like the Easter eggs in there. Like you can go to Avengers Tower, you can
yep,
find the Sanctum, like you can do all those things that are in universe there. But
yeah.
I just recently beat Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Okay,
It's
and I
been
have not played that yet, so again, feel free to spoil it because whether I do or don't play it isn't going to affect how I feel
you
about
want
it.
to borrow it?
Okay,
I got it.
I'm here for it. I got anything you need on my side.
So it's been rated a 6 out of 10. However,
It's
I
not great, but
personally really enjoyed it because I mean, number one, obviously, like if you guys, for those of you that've been listening to us, like I'm the DC guy, like that's my jam. I love it, and the fact that like each character is individual, or you can play multiplayer. So like you could have kind of like it's pretty much like Destiny, but now it's the
okay.
DC universe. So basically, the whole storyline basically is if you've ever watched the animated movie Justice League versus Teen Titans, it's essentially that storyline, except for now it's Brainiac versus Trigon. So like
Okay.
Brainiac has brainwashed majority of the Justice League. So you play as either the King Shark, Harley Quinn, Boomerang, or Deadshot.
Oh
But they
shit. All
each,
right.
but like it's weird. So like as you're playing through, like the graphics are amazing. It's one of those games where you hit like a 7 to 10 minute cutscene, and then you play a level, and then it's a 7 to 10 minute cutscene. So like honestly, it's more of a movie than it really is a
Okay.
game. Like you're just kind of like, okay, get this object from here to here without it getting attacked. Okay, now do this. And obviously, like you have Amanda Waller, and like there's some other things that like come up. I won't tell you which Justice League members you do kill because there are some that don't get brainwashed,
Okay.
but it's not like that in depth. Like the only members are Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, and Batman.
I was
Like,
saying, I was shocked he didn't
like
say Batman. I'm glad he was in there. That's awesome.
yeah, and the thing I really loved was this was, I believe, one of the last projects that Kevin Conroy actually worked on. So at the end of like
Oh
the
shit.
credits, they get cut to Lois Lane doing like a news article because I'll spoil one. So Batman's one of the ones that gets taken over and dies.
Okay.
I won't tell you how, but at the end, Lois Lane does like an obituary article almost. It's like an interview about Batman and like Bruce Wayne or whatever. So it's like a send off to Kevin Conroy, who unfortunately
I
passed.
like that. I
But
like that. That's nice.
the story is really cool, and I mean, it's like I said, it gets repetitive. You start doing the same missions over and over and over, or the same style mission. It's like, oh, like there's this big turret thing, and you have to attack its weak points. So you do that like 5 times, and then, but it's like there's like 10 of them around the map, something like that.
Yeah. I can say the same thing for Spider-Man though. Like if you looked at Spider-Man 1 and then Miles Morales, it's effectively the same game. They reskinned the enemies
Yep.
and the swing dynamics were slightly different because Miles Morales has a different type of swinging because he's not as rigid as Peter Parker. You know, he's a little younger, a little more agile. He has a little more fun with it, brings his own flair. And that is about the difference in the game.
Like this game, though, I mean, like I said, the way that they do it, if you're a Suicide Squad fan, because like I know one big thing that everybody saw was like, or the one review kind of like I saw amongst a lot of people was like, there's no character growth. It's like they're villains. Like what do you want to see them grow? Like Boomerang is just an Australian bank robber. Like that's pretty much it to his character. Harley Quinn is like a legitimate nutcase. King Shark
Yeah.
is like super uneducated. He's pretty much like, I'll call him like level one Hulk. So up until like Age of Ultron Hulk, like he's just, he can talk, but like he doesn't understand what you're saying. Deadshot's the only one that ever really shows any kind of character growth. But in the end, like he really doesn't, because his whole thing was always protecting his daughter and all that. So like even Deadshot, like he's had character growth to where you've seen him like work with Batman in some instances and do this or do
Yeah.
that, or like when he does go out to Suicide Squad, he's always trying to find a way to like do the right thing and like go against whatever Waller's trying to have them do. But in the end, like
Okay.
he doesn't have growth. Like he's always been that person. He's just been a constant.
So I do have a question. Again, this is as a guy that's not as big of a DC guy, but I've watched enough like shows and movies that maybe in regards to like King Shark being uneducated. So I'm basing this solely on like the CW Flash because the CW's Flash King Shark was actually like a marine biologist. So I think they were a doctor. I don't know if
So
that's like a canon event or it's just like they did that to sort of tie in the fact that they were working with sharks.
So Umawe is actually like a god, or like the son of a god, technically.
Okay.
So he's a god in the way that like they view Aquaman, like the Atlanteans view Aquaman as a
Okay.
god, like in that kind of a sense. I don't know the full backstory. I believe some of that's true, but I don't think he was a marine biologist who got turned into. I think he's just a humanoid shark race that's lived
Okay,
in the
and
water,
hey, that's fine. Again, I am very
to my
much like,
knowledge.
yeah, my entire like King Shark understanding comes first from the Flash TV series on the CW, and then slightly from like the Suicide Squad movie,
Right,
which they don't really give you like much backstory on. So it's not like they were like, oh, by the way, he's this person, or like here's his back. It was just here's King Shark, and great character, a bit of a comic relief, bit of a brute. I liked that. I mean, it was, again, like very much Hulk. Because Hulk had his funny moments, but Hulk was also like the tanker in their group. So I'm
right.
cool with it.
Because have you played the Arkham games?
I have. Actually, I think I still
Okay.
have your Arkham game, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe. But what they do is they actually do a callback to, I believe it's Arkham City. One of the times when Batman takes down Harley Quinn, he like picks her up and like throws him over his shoulder and carries her.
Yeah,
So in this, when they take out Batman, Harley Quinn's like, "Nobody touch him," and like it's like struggling to pick him up. Finally gets
that
him
was
up like
awesome.
over her shoulder to carry him like he was carrying her. And King Shark's like, "Are you gonna carry him all the way?" And she's like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "He looks heavy," and like
That's
but
great.
that's like the comic relief he has. He's just like very literal, and he's very kind of like, I mean, no pun intended. He's more of a fish out of water character, and I understand how that is because he's King Shark. But no, I mean, I would personally, I'd rate the game like, I would say a 7.5. The traversal is kind of
Okay.
weird. The upgrading system's subpar. Like you can't upgrade like the whole team as at once. It's basically whatever character you're playing as in that level is who gets the upgrade.
Although I'll tell you what, and again, I understand how that's like frustrating as you get further into the game because like if you haven't played with a character since level one and now you're on level seven, it's hard to play with a level one character.
Right.
Completely understand that, but from like a DM D&D player standpoint, that fucking makes total sense to me.
Right, and that's what I mean because it is designed as a third-person RPG shooter, and
Okay.
it also takes place in the Arkham universe. So, like all the events of Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight, they're all part of this universe.
Okay.
Like it's
That's
the
fine. I mean,
same.
that's awesome. I love those games. I mean, if you're giving it a 7.5, like I might have to give it a test. Like you said, you've got it. I might, knuckle down one day and play it a little bit. I'll tell you what, a game that I recently I've heard of it. I looked into it. I saw the price for it. Was a little taken aback by it, but it doesn't surprise me. Space Marine 2. So I played Warhammer when I was in like middle school. Back before I even had money to like buy characters, I was buying them like used from other people that played. And, back before price gouging was like abysmal like it is now.
Right,
Uh I had a buddy of mine who like his parents bought him all this stuff, and he had all these, this whole race of chaos space marines, and like that's what I wanted to be because I was like, that's such a cool concept. They're like the bad space marines, whatever. It was cool. Um, and he's like, yeah, like I didn't paint any of them or do anything, but like here you can buy them off me, and I got them for like $60, and it was probably like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of shit. But the kid wanted $60. I gave him $60. I mowed a bunch of lawns to get it, and here we are, millions of years later. I'm still a fucking giant nerd. Now I want to play it on PlayStation or Xbox. I'm not really sure. I know it's out for PlayStation because I checked, but it might be out for Xbox. But at $110 for like the base game, yeah, I was like, ooh, fuck. Like I don't. Is
how
it
much
that
memory
good?
does
Like,
that take up?
it's a big. I gotta look at it, but it's a big ass game. I just know, like for me, it was one of those things where I was like, I want it, but am I going to be able to like put in the time to like really make it worth $110? Because what was it? Hogwarts Legacy, when that came out, I devoted like an absurd amount of hours to that game, and probably more than I really should have.
Same.
Um, but you're a big Harry Potter fan as well. So there you go. Warhammer 40,000, Space
R.I.P.
Marine
90
2,
cent.
109.99, and it is, I don't even know what the size of this fucking game is. But you can do like 6v6 player v player and like co-op. There's a ton of stuff available. Oh, that's okay. I lied. I'm sorry. It was the Ultra Edition that is 109.99. I don't. That was like the default. It was like fuck you. You're just gonna get the Ultra Edition now. It's $69.99. All right, so we're still average. That's fine for me. It does not say on here what the size of the game is, which is terrifying to me. But whatever. It looks awesome. I love the concept of it. The game itself, it looks amazing. I've heard really, really good things about it. As a Warhammer 40,000 fan, like, I mean, hell, Henry Cavill's even playing that shit. Like, that's how you know it's good.
Right.
But yeah, it was such a cool tabletop game. I don't even know if I was playing it right. I was in like 7th or 8th grade. My cousin got me into it. We really like dove in. Like he had this basically it was like a pool table in his basement that we just put like a giant piece of painted plywood on, and we built terrain, and we just like had like day long, 2 day long, weekend long battles after school. It was so much fun.
I never got into Warhammer. That's one that kind of just escaped me. I knew it was out there. I knew it was a thing. I just never had a chance to kind of do it.
I don't think again. I don't think it like if I could go back and like undo it, I don't think I would, but I probably would have chosen a different race. I chose Chaos Space Marines. I was like, these are fucking badass. And I think my favorite colors were like black, red, and white. And the first ever race of or like sector of the Chaos Space Marines were black, red, and white that I saw. And I was like, oh, these are fucking badass. I'm getting these. And here we are, millions of years later. Now, still loving the concept of the Space Marine, but the game looks so much cooler than it did. I mean, they had so many like PC based games. Mike and I used to play them all the time, and it was a great game back then. It was very much like Warcraft. Like, have you ever played Warcraft? Not World of Warcraft, just like regular Warcraft.
Not really.
Okay. Again, same cousin that got me into Warhammer is the same person that had me playing Warcraft when I was in like 6th grade. And it was just a cool, like, whatever we were doing that day, it was like, hey, check this game out. Hey, check out StarCraft. Hey, check out this game. And I was like, fuck it, man. Like, I grew up in that kid's shadow and still love him to death. He was that person that really introduced me to like Super Nintendo and N64 and the Ninja Turtles, and like really sort of shaped my nerddom.
I was really big into like Madden, NHL, like the WWE games, kind of like when I was younger. Then kind
Oh
of
yeah.
went into like God of War, Test Drive, Need
Okay.
for Speed Racing.
Ooh.
Like I feel like at some point every guy who played video games was addicted to some version of Need for Speed.
Dude, Need for Speed
Mine,
Underground
I would say
2.
Underground was my shit.
Oh yeah, Hot Pursuit was cool. I like the concept of Hot Pursuit because again, it's like during the day, the cops are chasing you. Underground 2 was such a cool game because it was like the Fast and the Furious era.
I always liked the bosses where it was like the mountainside like races.
Yeah,
I always liked them the best.
dude, I wish they remastered that game. I don't know if they ever did. If they did, I gotta buy it. But no, it was like that was such a cool game. I loved Underground 2. Building the whatever cars you were driving, beating the bosses, stealing their cars. Like that was fun. That was a
Yeah, like the
fun
pink.
game.
You could like put pink slips up and all that for certain
Oh
cars.
yeah, that and another game I played like way too much. Guitar Hero.
DDR, Guitar Hero, Rock Band, that whole
See, I
era.
sucked at DDR. Guitar Hero and Rock Band, I was really good at. Guitar Hero mostly. We had Rock Band when we were growing up, but it was tough to find like 4 people that wanted to, like one person that wanted to sing and one person that wanted to play the drums. It was like the
Right.
guitar and the bass. It was like I already know Guitar Hero. That's an easy transition, but singing and playing the drums as well, that was the tough side.
I can honestly say that I got a 95% on Through the Fire and Flames on the hardest difficulty at one point in my life. I cheated,
That is
but
awesome.
I did it.
My claim to fame with Guitar Hero was I played it so much. I learned how to play Message in a Bottle with my eyes closed on the hardest difficulty. Like, I mean, it's effectively just the same chords over and over again. So as long as you can remember like
The order
3 different notes, you're fine.
for Through the Fire and Flame, put on the hardest difficulty, and what you do is you cheat. You take a rubber band and you just lock it
On the
around the
green.
green. Because I think it's like 94% of the combos in that song involve the green one.
Yep.
So then literally all you do is just worry about the other 4. And so I had a
Yeah, I remember when
but I did
that first like started circulating on YouTube. Those were good times, man. Oh, when we didn't have bills and responsibilities. God damn it.
Right.
Ah, nostalgia hit me again.
And I mean, when I game now, I go more for like God of Wars,
Yes.
the Assassin's Creeds,
I'll
kind
tell
of
you what,
like the
Assassin's
Spider
Creed has
Man.
got away from me with the past two games. I don't they have a new one that's supposed to be like a samurai. I haven't touched that or even like really read about it yet. But Origins
I
and
never
then
played
what was it?
Origins, but I have Valhalla, and I love Valhalla.
I didn't like Valhalla, and here is why. You like God of War, and that's awesome. Like, and that's kind of what Valhalla felt like. I didn't feel like I was an assassin sneaking around killing people in like, the dark shadows. I felt like I was just a murderer, which is cool. Like, I'm not saying that that's the problem. It's that I want to be able to like hide in a group of people and like jump out, boom, boom, blade people in the face, and then I'm ducking back into some cover. This I felt like I was sneaking in the fucking grass at one point, and it was like kill this person, and I was like okay, and then my dude just stood up with a fucking axe and was like, bah, boom. Like,
To
that's not stealthy at all. Where's the stealth?
be fair, you
That's what
are
I
a
wanted.
Viking, and they weren't necessarily famous for their
I
stealth
get
tactics.
that, but like that's like they set listen man, they set you up for like 6 games where they're like you're a stealth master, you're king of the shadows, and then all of a sudden they're like nope, battle axe, murder, which again just make that what it is. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, because
I'm
like I
very excited
agree
for
with you.
the what's up.
I say I agree with you, but for me, it's more of like I take each game character by character, and I try to
Sure.
understand like that era. So like I never
I
played
Yeah,
Origins, but like for Valhalla,
that was
like
interesting.
okay, like I went into that not expecting to be like yes, it's an Assassin's Creed game, but I didn't go into that expecting to be like stealthy. Now when I played
Fair.
like Assassin's Creed 3 or even Black Flag, like you weren't really like you could blend in with people and do all that kind of stuff, but like you weren't really like hiding in the shadows, like you were
I hated
more
Black
just a
Flag.
pirate.
I hated it. I hated the ship. I hated driving the ship.
Dude, Black Flag. I think Black Flag is probably like the best one next to 3.
I loved so the first one for what it was because it was so new. It was the concept was just there. Three is that's when you're Ezio.
I believe so. Yes.
I
There's
loved
so many
three.
now. I forget when you're who.
Yeah, I liked three. I don't need. There are too many of them at this point. I'm trying to like think of which one was which,
There was
but I know I really liked the
Revolution.
first one. It was I was playing it before I went to boot camp, and I like stopped at a certain point. I was somewhere in wherever the fuck you were. Stopped playing, went to boot camp, came home for a couple days, and tried to play it again. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't remember where I was. I don't remember what the plan was. I don't. And I eventually just restarted it and went from the beginning. But
Dude,
that
that's
game will like
me.
forever hold a place in my heart where I'm like, this is a fun game.
Dude, that's me so bad. Like you play like Spider Man, like you get it, you get all psyched. You play for like 3 hours, like the first night. You put it down for like 2 days and come back, and you just look at the controls like shit. How do I do everything?
That's another problem too with like having so many games. I'll have like controls for I'll just hit you with like 3 different games. Like Apex Legends, that's a shooter. Rainbow Six Siege, a shooter. Call of Duty, a shooter. All different controls for every game.
Would
Now,
kill
like
me.
the triggers, obviously, you got your zoom or like your focus and your firing. Cool. That's pretty standard across the board.
Right.
Reload is different, crouch is different, jump is different, strafe is different. Like all of these different concepts, and it's like trying to play the like I don't understand how people can play like all 3 of them competitively. I'm like, yeah, good for you because it's not me. I can't do
Yeah.
it. I just there's too many fucking variations between the controls. And I guess if I like really put time into it, maybe I could do it. But it's just I'd like to get to streaming like Twitch stuff via Nerds Who Drink. So if you guys would like to see that, let us know. I got downloaded a couple games on Steam the other day, and I think I'd like to really kind of dive into that and have fun with that kind of stuff. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I kind of fell off of Call of Duty. I was getting sick and tired of having a 4 gigabyte download every time I turned it on.
I think the last one was like 110. You have to like purge your entire fucking hard drive every time Call of Duty updates now.
Dude, last time I played was when me, you, Bill, and everybody would play during COVID.
Oh shit, yeah, the Call of Duty League. Yeah, that was fun.
The DGen group.
The D-Gens. Hell yeah, dude. Those
Dude,
were
we
good
used to
times.
maul teams though. Like we played really well together.
We did. And see, I miss that kind of stuff too. Like, I wish we could go back to that. Like, get a group together every so often. So that's why Eddie and I were talking about starting the FIFA league, just to
I
do
never got
something.
into FIFA.
Listen, dude, I used to be good at it back in FIFA 2008,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I'm
more
like, I'm not
NHL and
ready for
Madden. Those are
updates.
my
I'll
bread
tell
and
you what,
butter.
give me an NHL league, threes hockey, baby. I'm in.
Dude, that would be legit.
I'll talk to them. We'll get
Do like
everybody
a
on NHL.
draft. Everybody drafts their team and then
That would be fucking
either
awesome because
play
I think it's
threes or
cross-platform now too. Like you can play with PC people because that's what they were saying they play on. I'm in. I'm down for that. I'll send it in the group chat. We're in. Uh, so before we get again to like, we're a little off track right now. We're going to talk like a half hour just about video games. One of the new hot Marvel shows that just came out 2 weeks ago, I guess at this point we're 4 episodes in. Agatha All Along. And if you saw my story on Instagram, we're back on the fucking train, baby. Mephisto. I am in for Mephisto 110%. If you remember anything, if you were a longtime listener, that was like my entire identity for all of
phase two.
WandaVision. Yes. Yeah, WandaVision itself, like I was Mephisto crazy because I was like, this is Mephisto, this person's Mephisto, this clock is Mephisto, everything's Mephisto. And
He's
they've mentioned
working.
him like straight name drop. It's time. My time is now.
So here's my question for you. Do you think Mephisto is any of the witches on the road right now? Or I'll say from the start, everybody who came to everybody now. Do you think any of them were actually Mephisto in disguise? Or do you think they're going to wait and do like a bigger reveal than that kind of a thing?
I feel like we haven't met him yet. So and you and I had briefly talked about this, and before we step on toes,
Spoilers ahead.
yes, if you haven't watched up to the newest episode, spoiler, sorry, I don't think we've met him yet. I know there was a lot of like chatter on the internet about the teen. We haven't even gotten a name yet, being Agatha's son. Although in this most recent episode, it was like very clearly stated that it's not your child. Now, again, could that be a lie? Maybe. Do I love Aubrey Plaza in this show? Yes. Uh, she's awesome. I loved her in pretty much everything she's ever been in. She's a phenomenal actress. And she's a local. She's from Delaware, so good for her. I don't think that the teen is Mephisto. I don't think it is Agatha's son. I saw a post about him potentially being Wiccan. So Wanda's son.
So Funko did spoil who he is.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Kind of. Physically who he is.
Okay, hit me.
He is Wiccan.
Bitch. Motherfucker.
Now, I have seen a theory that it could be Agatha's son possessing Wiccan.
Okay.
So whatever, but from
Why
according
does
to the Funko Pop,
listen,
and
Funko? Why do you got to do that? Can we
they
talk to
released
Funko
like
about
a
that
3
shit?
Funko set, and one of them is Wiccan.
I fucking listen, man. I'm sorry. I've got to be the one to say it. Like that pisses me off.
I know.
They do it with every fucking show. I get you're trying to drive sales. I'm not saying don't, but like if it's a character, like talk to the people at Disney, talk to the people at fucking Marvel or DC or whatever. They're hiding something for a reason. That's like the entire concept of the fucking show. And they come out and they're like, by the way, no, bitch, that's not your job. Your job is not to spoil shit. It's Twitter and Instagram's job to spoil shit for me, okay? All right? Fuck you. God damn it.
See, I feel
I
like
think it.
we're going back to the Mephisto. I feel like
Okay.
we have met him. I feel like we've known him for a while.
So you mentioned this, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to jump you on it. So go ahead. I know your theory, but let the fans hear your theory.
So I personally think that he was a hiding in plain sight kind of a character, and I
Okay.
think that he was Deborah Jo Rupp, Sharon, Mrs. Hart. I think
Yes,
Mrs.
that
Hart
70s
might
show.
have been like him, just to because I mean, you think about it. You now have Aubrey Plaza's character, who I have a theory on who she is. You
Okay.
have Agatha, Wanda, like you have all these powerful like Agatha found this coven in no time, and these are all powerful witches. Why were they all hovering around Westview? Or yeah, Westview. So for me, like there's just too many like super powerful people that I feel like he could kind of fly under the radar because there's so many other threats in that immediate area. I mean, Wanda literally brainwashed an entire town.
So that brings me to my question: was the whole like being brainwashed thing an act for Mephisto? Then, if that's who Mephisto was.
No. I mean, I think he was playing along not to give himself away, but I think it was more of a he's keeping an eye on the Darkhold. So I don't think it was coincidence that he was there with Agatha and Wanda. I think it was more he was just following the book.
So you think that he was never actually under the spell of Westview?
Correct.
Okay. It's, I mean, it's interesting.
Because if you think
Conversely, too.
about it, Agatha, like, it was like Agatha didn't even, like, not that she knew it was him, but, like, she kept calling her Mrs. Hart. Like, she didn't even care. Like, every time she got corrected, like, she just never, even after she died, she was like, who's Sharon?
So I felt like, because I had gotten that question too from Elena. So it was like, why did she say that? And I said, I think it was more of a way to show her lack of humanity, that she still does not care about these people. She cares about the teen because she thinks it might be her kid.
Right.
But the rest of the witches, she really does not give a shit about. And like, I think that was her way to show, like, who? Like, oh, that person. Yeah, fuck her. Like, whatever. But I want to springboard off your theory real quick of her being Mephisto. So
Okay.
what if it was Mephisto, but Wanda was so powerful that she forgot? Like Mephisto forgot that he was possessing this woman.
I would think it would be more along the lines of the, what's the thing that's on teen? When he
Oh,
talks,
the
what's it called? Or what's the term that they use for it?
god damn it. It's not a hex. It's a starts with an S, I think. I don't fucking know.
A sigil.
Sigil. That's there you go.
So
I knew the letter.
what I'm wondering is if he had a sigil on all the witches, so they wouldn't be able to know like who he was. Because even Agatha says the sigil can't be lifted; it has to be destroyed. So that's where
Yeah.
I'm wondering
But even so she does mention that like if you put a sigil on something, that's why they don't use them. Even you will forget that you did it.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying to support your theory of maybe he forgot he was possessing her. He possesses
Yeah.
her, puts a sigil on the other witches, now forgets,
I mean,
something like
again,
that. But I could be
if
completely
if
wrong
we're right, you know,
because this is how I came to my conclusion. It wasn't until after this episode. So I
the most recent
believe
one.
yes. So in the comics, obviously, Lady Death plays a huge role in Marvel.
Sure.
Deadpool hooks up with her. Literally, it's the reason for Thanos' snap. Like, there's a lot of key elements that come from Marvel Comics that involve Lady Death.
Hmm.
I think that's Aubrey Plaza.
Okay. I mean, I could see it. She's a green witch. You know, the green usually like Hela.
Exactly. Like she when she came out of the ground. First off, I love the animation that they did. It was kind of like from Multiverse of Madness when Wanda comes through the reflection, where she's like all distorted and like
Yeah.
cracking herself. But then she comes out and she says, "I either came up or down." So I think she's an agent for Mephisto, and that's why when Deborah Jo Rupp left, she came in. I mean, she was coming in either way because they needed Green Witch. But then when they were in like the 70s thing, she even says like I want my bodies. And then Agatha says that the last time she apparently walked the road, only one witch from the coven survived with her. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if and Agatha is like trading these women for the power that she'll get at the end.
Feeling that's kind of what's happening. And again, I know she basically has betrayed every witch she's ever worked with, and that's why no one really wants to work with her. I think it's an interesting theory. I want to see next episode if someone else dies, how the group itself reacts. Like right now, they're kind of like, okay, she died, we got a replacement. Like It happens. She took 2 sips of this. She didn't get 2 antidotes, whatever their theory was on it.
Right.
But I think if someone else dies now, they're probably going to be all hands on deck. Like, what the fuck's going on? People are, getting killed off. We can't keep replacing everyone every time that this shit happens. So I'm curious to see if or who dies in the next episode.
Yeah, because I
We only
mean,
got what, two to four left.
something like that. Yeah, it's been a good
There are
show,
6 or
though. I
8 episodes,
mean,
which really kills me because I miss the days of 10 to 12 to 14 to 17 episode fucking seasons of shows. Maybe I'm asking too much.
yeah, nah, those are gone, man.
I
Everything
know
costs too
it's rough.
much now. All the special effects and all the big
Well,
names
that,
and all that kind of
but
stuff.
dude, I'll tell you what, I'd trade a special effect for a fuck. Like, all right, here you go. You ever watch Cobra Kai?
I have not gotten into Cobra Kai yet. I've heard it's good. It's on my watch list. I just haven't gotten to it.
There's not a ton of special effects in that show, and it's still fucking like 8 to 10 episodes, maybe. Maybe. And you know what fucking pisses me off about this? They released the first like 4, and then they're making me wait until November for the other half of the season. Are you fucking kidding me? Who are you, Netflix? Are you holding my love hostage? What is this shit?
Well, what you call it does that too all the time. Invincible.
Yeah,
Invincible will give you half of the season and then wait a couple
but
months
it,
and then give you the other half.
but Invincible, at least it's like we're drawing this. Like this is an animation. I
Right.
can respect the process of like how much work goes in. I'm not saying that the actors and actresses that are like live acting these things aren't really putting in work, but it's hard to draw and animate and do. Like took a class on that way back when I was in high school, and it's fucking hard, dude. And like I did whatever a 20-second clip, and that took me weeks. And I know I'm only one person with like minimal skills in this, but I can only imagine how many people they would have to have working together at the same time, doing like different shots of different scenes and episodes, and like that's a lot of work, man. That's a fucking ton of work.
Oh yeah. Oh, I believe it. But no, I mean, so far I like the show though. I mean, I know I had my worries because it seems like Marvel is like every other production is like hit or miss.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's been comments made by people in the show and stuff like that that kind of made me worry a little bit that Disney was going to do the Disney thing and Disney the shit out of Marvel.
So far, no. I like
I
it.
don't know. I mean, what's her face? Is it not? Oh my god, what's the actress's name that plays Agatha?
Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn's been phenomenal. The supporting cast,
She has.
honestly, like we've really enjoyed. Like even Danielle, like when she's been watching it, has been like oh my god, like this is kind of like a horror show, which is what they advertised it as, and I'm glad that like they're sticking to it. Like when they
Yeah.
fought the demon in the last episode, like when they first showed
That
it,
was fucked.
Danielle was like, "What the fuck is that?" Like,
Yeah, that was a weird looking fucking like that was
or
I
the
mean, genuinely like scary looking demon. I was like, damn, fuck that. Holy
right,
shit.
or like the Salem Seven, like when the one was like crawling down the steps as they were walking down like the basement steps to the road. The
Hell
way
yeah.
it came like crawling down and stuff. Danielle's like, dude, like this is actually like different. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
I
Dude, nah,
did
I'm in the same boat. I love the fact that this is very much like they're delivering on their promise, which is huge because we haven't been getting a ton of that recently, especially from Disney. Sorry, Disney. I'm still gonna spend all my money on your stuff, but like keep your promises. Um it's hard for me to like look at a show and be like, oh man, I'm really excited for this show after they just fucked up like 3 other shows that they did or movies or whatever. But this really is it's standing on what it said. It's delivering. I read an article about like why they changed the name so many times. It was basically just to keep viewers on their toes. It was, you could never know what to expect with Agatha. And I was like, I'm cool with that. Like it was, Agatha All Along. It was fucking goddamn, I can't remember what the fucking other show names were at the time. But there was a bunch of different the Coven of Darkness or Harkness or whatever the hell it was. All of these other, different names, blah blah blah. And like I like that concept because that's what Marvel's always done. It's always adjusted either a trailer or a cutscene or a poster or whatever it is to like kind of leave out some details because they don't want to give the whole story away, and I
Right.
respect that. Like, I wouldn't
Funko
want to
will
go
do
to
that.
see a movie that I already knew the ending of.
Yeah, and Funko will do it for them anyway.
Yeah, you fucking pieces of shit. I'm still gonna collect Funkos. I got a million signed Funkos, but like, you guys suck. You guys suck. Um, yeah, I mean, that's just yeah. I love the show. I really do. I think it's a. I'll give it right now where we're at like 8.5.
That's right where I was going to say 8.5, 8.7, somewhere in that range.
Okay,
Like 8.5
so let me.
trending upward.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you a question. So, and this is one of my like big talking points.
Okay.
Where are we at in the state of superhero cinema? Like, are we oversaturating the market?
I'd say for me it's complicated because it's like yes, but no. Because it's like for me, number one, like even Kevin Feige's cut, he said like we're cutting back on projects because like we realize that we're just overdoing it and we're not putting out good product anymore. But
True.
I think if you keep sticking to like, for example, like James Gunn just took over DC. The first thing he comes out with is a Batman movie. It's like, okay, yes. However, if he's like, look, I'm gonna do a good Green Lantern movie, or I'm gonna do like a good like Hawkman movie. Like I know we got
Yeah.
like in Black Adam, we got Hawkman, which I loved the actor
Yeah.
that played him in that. I love the character and all of that. So like I think that they could do a good Hawkman movie. So like Martian Manhunter, give us something new, something inventive versus just
Yep.
okay, here like obviously you have to have the Trinity, but it goes back kind of what we were talking about with Jay. Like do some other minor Justice League members and then have Batman come find them. Like he's already Batman. Just have him come find them, be
Yep.
like, hey, we got this team we want you to join, and then build your Justice League. You don't
And they
need
could
to
very much
see
do that, even if they did like offshoot. I don't know if he's like willing to do or looking into TV series and stuff, but like, give me that. Even if you just go like straight to HBO Max, like a series about, I'm going to hit you with like a random. I'm just Zatanna, right? That's a character we haven't seen. I don't think live action yet. Or give me. I'd like to see like a Kid Flash series.
I believe
I know he's more
you
like
do see
Teen
her
Titan.
in the CW Arrowverse because Constantine comes back with doesn't
Did we
Constantine
see her?
pop up in a couple episodes of one of the shows?
Yeah.
So I think when you meet Constantine, I think it's like a cameo.
Ah, okay.
It's not like a whole big thing because you even meet like Lucifer, like from the show
Yeah.
Lucifer, like he pops up in that. I think it was one of the crossover episodes of Crisis on Infinite Worlds.
Probably.
Like
But I mean, give me those minor characters. I agree with you. If you hit me with again, we got a Blue Beetle movie, which I think was great. I liked that movie. I
I
know I
thought
got a
it was
lot
a
of
good
hate.
movie.
I love the guy who plays the Blue Beetle in the movie. He's actually the main character in Cobra Kai. So, spoiler alert. Uh, so yeah, it was one of those things that like I could not agree with you. And like I said, we talked about it with Jay. I couldn't agree more. We really need some offshoot stuff. We got Shazam, which I think was awesome. Zachary Levi, phenomenal. We got Black Adam. Let's dive into a little bit more stuff. If we're gonna recast Flash, if we're getting rid of Ezra Miller, let's recast him. We're multiversal now. I mean, everything's multiverse. That's just what it is. Give me that.
And for the record,
Give
I
me a
do
new
know
Flash.
that James Gunn's first movie is going to be the Superman one,
I
which
we're gonna jump you back. Episode 10, something super.
don't worry, dude. I mean, I think he's one of the most OP characters for
I think he's an
anything.
overrated character. Like, take the fucking OP factor out of it. It doesn't do me. It doesn't like tickle my fancy. I don't get like the warm and fuzzies thinking about Superman. You give me a character that can like die, and that's why I resonated so much with Hawkeye. Like I understand that technically in like the Marvel universe he has some semblance of like a superpower, which is why he is as accurate as he is. But he's just a regular dude. Like I resonate with that character. Like Bruce Banner, but prior to becoming the Hulk was just like a genius. Tony Stark, a genius.
Right.
Captain America was just some scrawny kid who had a dream. Batman. And again, I don't need another Batman movie, but like Batman, just rich and nuts. Like, and he's got a vengeance on his side. I don't know. Like, the Superman just doesn't do it for me, man. He's and the Flash, like he had an accident, so that's good. But like Superman is like, I'm just here on Earth, and this sun makes me wildly powerful and almost unstoppable, except for the shards of my planet, which magically landed on Earth as well.
It's for me. I always what made me like Superman. Like, don't get me wrong. I think I'm with you. Like, I don't think he's that great of a character when you really break it down. Like, he's just an American guy. Like of that time was like how Americans should have been. Like, like I'm here for the country. I'm here for the people. Like I represent strength and honor and all that. But for me, what I always thought Superman brought as an interesting side to DC is like, when does that other shoe drop? Like he's the strongest being in like the
In the
solar
world.
system. Like once you start getting into like Injustice, like the Suicide Squad game, like when
I
you
would
start
like a good Injustice movie or series.
right, and that's what I mean. Like once you start diving into like, and I know I've been preaching this every episode of turning the good guys bad with Marvel, but like when Superman does make those flips, they're always like the best animated movies. Like I said, Teen
Yeah.
Titans versus Justice League. Trigon takes him over, and he's like the first one to get possessed out of the Justice League, and like he's just an unstoppable being. You got Superman. Was it Red Sun? The one when
The
he
Red Sun. So I was just gonna say Red Sun. He lands in
he's the
Russia
Soviet.
instead. Yep.
Yeah,
Got
like Red.
Soviet Batman.
Right, like in Red Sun, like he's just a force, and it's
He
just
says like a
such a
gun for
good.
hire for Russia.
Right. And like it like that's where you can kind of like make things kind of crazy or give me new villains. Give me that Deathstroke movie. Give me a Captain Cold movie. Give me a well, maybe not Cheetah cuz I know how Wonder Woman 84 did. But
Yeah.
like you have like this Batman alone, Batman and Flash literally have such a plethora of like villains that you could dive into. Start building out. Like, give me a
Well, they got
Legion
the
of Doom
Penguin
movie.
series.
Give me a Legion of Doom movie. Lex Luthor, Manta, Black Manta. You got Gorilla Grodd, Solomon Grundy, like characters like that. Vandal Savage, like yes, Vandal Savage played a big role in Legends of Tomorrow on the CW, but like
They could do him better.
they could absolutely do him better, and he could be like the DC's Kang. Like he's an immortal being, like because
Yep.
like now I'm seeing all these posts pop up of like Marvel wants The Rock to be Apocalypse, and it's like okay, but then you're getting the Venom 3 with the King in Black, and now they're rumoring okay he's also going to be. So here's my theory. My theory is he needs Venom and Eddie because they've traveled to the multiverse. So for him to expand, he needs them since they know where to go because they said that all the symbiotes are hive mind. So what
Yeah.
one sees, everyone sees. So Null knows that he's been to the MCU. So I think he fights Eddie Brock and Venom. I think he eventually absorbs Venom, but then he makes the jump to the MCU where he meets Peter Parker and Tom Holland Spider Man. That leads you into Spider Man 4, which is where maybe a piece of the King in Black will break off or something, and that's where you'll get Venom in the MCU. And I think maybe that's how they'll do it. My fear is that they're going to ruin this character. Because if you've read the King in Black comic, which I think I have somewhere over here, I have it. I don't know if I just have it close by. No, I don't. But like he's just a force. Like the King in Black should almost be built out the same way they build out Thanos. Like it's like a two-phase build, not a two-movie build.
Yeah, it's tough. And I know Null is like one of those huge characters. He's like, again, one of he's the king of the symbiotes. He's the god of the symbiotes.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. But I think there's enough lore and like comic and stuff behind it that they're kind of just resting on their laurels in that regard, where they're like, well, we have all of the media here. It exists. You just got to go read it. Like that's not my problem if you don't know what's going on.
And I can respect if they do that because that's what literally what we're saying. Like DC needs to start doing with Batman and stuff. Like
Yeah,
let people read the comics, let people go watch other movies, learn the backstory. Just give me an original Batman story, which is why I like Robert Pattinson's
yeah.
Batman movie. It's like a year two movie. He doesn't really know what the hell he's doing. Like he's still grieving over his parents. Like years later, like he's still
And
finding who he
he's
is.
Robert Pattinson. Like, while arguably he is probably like in his like 30s, maybe 40s, he has the young look. Like, he looks like he's a younger Batman, like maybe his late 20s, getting
And
started. Which,
that's what I need. I just need like just put out a movie and just start in the middle of a story somewhere. Okay,
yep,
Batman's fighting Killer Croc. Okay, well, what's going on now in this situation? I don't need to know that Batman's fighting Killer Croc because he was really tied to Falcone, who was tied to Joe Chill, who shot Bruce's parents, and then get a flashback of Joe Chill killing Bruce's parents, and then get a training montage of him becoming Batman. No, just fucking give him the suit, let him go beat the shit out of some homeless like villains, and be them like nuisance that he is to the city when you really look
yeah.
at it.
Oh,
Like
absolutely. No,
he
dude.
was just a menace.
I've been saying it for years. I am just over the backstories. Like, if you are going to watch these movies, you probably have an idea of what's going on.
Right.
You're not going to get some random person off the street, man. Like, I know nothing about Batman. Let me go see this movie. It's probably, I mean, 9 out of 10 times not going to happen. Am I saying it's never going to happen? Like, you're not going to have a friend that just has never seen Batman. But even prior to that, you're probably giving them a synopsis of like who Batman is on the way into that theater.
Yeah, like
I'm sorry, I don't know too many people that don't know Batman's backstory or Superman's backstory or the Flash's is pretty similar and everything. Works for the CCPD in the crime lab, lightning, chemicals, Flash.
pretty much. Like
I
give
don't
me
know
a
how else
reverse
to
flash,
yeah.
like anything like that.
No,
Like that.
get me if you could get me a Reverse Flash movie with Tom Cavanaugh.
Imagine a reverse flash movie with Tom Cavanaugh and Grant Gustin.
See, that would be awesome. I don't think Grant wants to be the Flash anymore, but Tom Cavanaugh as just the Reverse Flash. God, he was so good because he was one of those characters you wanted to love. Like, he has one of those faces you're like, I can trust you, and he's a fucking evil, and I love it, dude. That shift, the first time that you see that he like is not leading Barry in the right direction on purpose, that got me. I was like, oh man, this is what a twist.
What a
What a
twist.
twist.
But back to your original question before I went on all my tangents. Yes, I do feel that right now pop culture is a little bit too flooded with the superhero genre. Because outside
Yeah.
of it, you got The Boys, you got Invincible, you got Lock and Key. Like, you have all these, like,
Umbrella Academy.
Umbrella Academy. Like, you have all these other areas where people are kind of, like, dipping their toes into it. And, like, I'm not knocking the shows. The Boys, phenomenal. Umbrella Academy, you go back, watch our video, and we talk about how we felt about this last season.
Pretty much everything but like the last episode in the last season.
I would just say the last season in total. But
But yeah, there's so much to be loved about it.
yeah, if you can start giving me like these other characters and like really like if you're gonna build a world, build a world. Don't just
Yep.
pick like, oh, these are like the favorite people. No. Give us
I don't want
other
the favorites. I'm done with the favorites. And I get it, like,
or
technically, like, I saw something the other day because, like, we know the MCU big three as Cap, Thor, Iron Man. The original big three were Spider Man, Wolverine, Hulk. I'd take that movie.
I mean, Deadpool even hinted at like Wolverine versus Hulk. Like you have so many good storylines that you could do. Like you literally have a show called What If. You can literally do whatever
Animate whatever
you
you want.
want. Feige, call me. I will give you 5 seasons worth of ideas that you could do for Marvel.
I want. I have the comic still. The What If Tony Stark sold out. Give me that as a What If episode. I know they kind of did, but it was more like what if Killmonger was there instead and he like helped save the day. No, I want Tony Stark to just be a degenerate asshole and not have the bad shit happen to him and just be like, nah, fuck it. I'm going to build this suit, but sell it to the highest bidder. That's kind of the concept of the comic. I like that.
Yeah, like you could do an episode of like what if World Breaker Hulk existed. You could do what if the Punisher joined Shield. What if, like you said, what if Iron Man sold out? What if Bucky
There's,
became Captain America instead of Cap?
yeah,
Like,
there's so many what if episode possibilities. They have a billion years worth of content and they have a million comics that they could just literally reference. Like, here,
read.
okay, here's grab a whole stack of what if comics. Let's just make these into episodes. And people would fucking drool over that. I don't need whoever, what is her name, Kalahari or the fucking, I feel like that's a water park somewhere. The fucking Native American chick.
Oh, yeah, Kahari.
I didn't need that. No offense, like I'm not saying it was a bad episode. I just like I'm watching it. I'm like, where does this tie into fucking anything that's going on right now?
Right, it turns, they
I
like
get it. They
reveal
did tie it in long term, but like I didn't give a shit. No offense.
her powers
This
were badass, though. Like, she was a badass character. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing her in live action sometime.
and I get that. I just for me it
But
was just
in
a
that
weird like
moment, there was really
yeah.
no.
That one like they just hit me in the middle of a again they were building a series and it was way too late in that. I think they should have done it
Fair
earlier.
enough.
I think the story was already so well like built. I was like, oh shit, and I know that that's almost controversial to what I said. Like, give me new characters, but I was not prepared for that, and I knew nothing about this character. Period, and I don't know if she has a ton of lore behind her. I haven't done a ton of research on it. I'm gonna be honest with you, but whatever. But all right, guys, before we get too long here, we're closing in on an hour. If you're still listening, thank you guys so much. Check us out on all of our socials at Nerds Who Drink. We're on Twitter or X now, Nerds Who Drink. We're on YouTube, Nerds Who Drink. Check us out on all of our major streaming services. Thank you so much, Spotify, for hosting us, and we'll catch you guys next time. Last but not least, I'm Steve,
I'm Mark.
and we'll see you guys next time.